Have you ever seen a car that just stops you in your tracks? One that perfectly captures a moment in time, a feeling, an entire era for millions of people. That car was the Ford Thunderbird. It wasn't just another vehicle rolling off the assembly line. It was a cultural phenomenon, a two-seater slice of the American dream that reshaped what a car could be. Today, we're taking a ride back in time to explore the incredible story of the Ford Thunderbird and its lasting impact on society. It all starts in the early 1950s. Post-war America was booming. The economy was strong. Optimism was in the air, and a new youth culture was emerging. People didn't just want a car to get from point A to point B anymore. They wanted style. They wanted performance. They wanted a statement. European sports cars like the MG and the Jaguar were starting to turn heads, but American automakers were mostly focused on practical family sedans. Then, in 1953, Chevrolet unveiled the Corvette. It was a bold move, a fiberglass-bodied sports car that was unlike anything Detroit had produced. Ford, not one to be left behind, knew they had to respond, but they decided to play a different game. Instead of building a direct competitor to the Corvette, a raw, bare-bones sports car, Ford's general manager, Louis Crusoe, and chief designer, Frank Hershey, envisioned something new. They wanted to create a personal car. It would have the sporty two-seat layout, but it would also have the comfort, convenience, and luxury that American buyers were used to. It was a brilliant idea. They weren't just selling speed, they were selling a lifestyle. The name itself was a stroke of genius. After thousands of suggestions, a young stylist named Alden Gibb Gibberson proposed Thunderbird, named after the powerful, mythical creature from Native American folklore. It was perfect. It evoked a sense of power, freedom, and mystique. When the Ford Thunderbird debuted in 1954 for the 55 model year, it was an absolute sensation. The public went wild. It had long, clean lines, a powerful V8 engine, and luxurious features like roll-up windows and an optional hard-top things you just didn't find on European sports cars at the time. Ford had aimed to sell 10,000 units in the first year. The first generation, from 1955 to 1957, is what most people picture when they hear the name Thunderbird. These baby birds are iconic, with their classic porthole windows on the hardtop and stylish tail fins. They perfectly capture the optimistic rock and roll spirit of the mid-50s. Owning one meant you had arrived. It was the car for a Saturday night cruise, a trip to the drive-in movie, or a weekend getaway up the coast. It wasn't about racing. It was about enjoying the drive and looking good while doing it. This new market segment that Ford had created, the personal luxury car, was a game. But Ford, always looking for the next big thing, made a controversial decision. For the 1958 model year, they completely redesigned the Thunderbird. They added a back seat, making it a four-seater. The car grew larger, more luxurious, and more substantial. Purists were shocked. They felt Ford had abandoned the sporty spirit of the original. But the market spoke loud and clear. Sales exploded. The new Square Bird, as it was nicknamed, sold nearly 4 times as many units as the 1957 model. Why? Because it appealed to a wider audience. Now, a successful young family could own a stylish, fun-to-drive car without sacrificing practicality. It could be a daily driver and a weekend cruiser, all in one. This move cemented the Thunderbird's place not as a niche sports car, but as a mainstream luxury icon. This trend continued into the 1960s. The third generation, the Bullet Bird from 61 to 63, brought a sleek, futuristic, jet-inspired design. It looked like it was breaking the sound barrier even when it was standing still. John F. Kennedy was so impressed, he had a fleet of 50 of them for his inaugural parade. Can you get a better endorsement than that? It became the ultimate status symbol of the Camelot era. Then came the Flarebird from 64 to 66, which refined the luxury, adding features like sequential taillights that blinked in sequenza, cool, high-tech touch that everyone else scrambled to copy. The Thunderbird was a trendsetter, a beacon of automotive style and innovation. Throughout the decades, the Thunderbird continued to evolve, adapting to the changing tastes and needs of the American public. It grew larger in the 70s, downsized in the 80s, and adopted a sleek, aerodynamic look in the 90s, even winning NASCAR championships. Each generation reflected the era it was born in, for better or worse. While some later models may not be as revered as the classics, the Thunderbird name always carried a certain prestige. It consistently represented American style and personal expression. It showed that a car could be more than just transportation. It could be an extension of your personality. The Thunderbird's influence goes far beyond just its own sales numbers. It created a ripple effect across the entire industry. After seeing Ford's success, other manufacturers rushed to create their own personal luxury cars, like the Buick Riviera and the Oldsmobile. The Thunderbird forced the automakers to think about design, comfort, and image in a whole new way. It proved that style sold, and that Americans wanted cars that made them feel good. It helped bridge the gap between pure sports cars and cumbersome family sedans, creating a sweet spot that countless models have tried to capture ever since. Sadly, by the late 90s, the market had shifted. SUVs and trucks were becoming the new status symbols, and sales for large coupes like the Thunderbird dwindled. Ford ceased production in 1997. They tried to bring it back in 2002 with a retro-style two-seater that paid homage to the original 55 model. While it was a beautiful car, it just didn't capture the magic of the original for a new generation, and production ended for good in 2005. But the legacy of the Ford Thunderbird is undeniable. It's more than just a classic car. It's a piece of Americana. It represents a time of optimism, of cruising down Main Street on a warm summer night, of believing in the promise of the open road. It defined a new kind of automotive experience and left an indelible mark on car culture and society as a whole. It taught us that a car could have a soul. So, the next time you see a classic 57 T-Bird with those iconic porthole windows, or a sleek 61 Bullet Bird gliding down the road, take a moment to appreciate it. You're not just looking at a machine of metal and chrome. You're looking at a legend, a symbol of freedom, style, and the enduring power of the American dream on four wheels. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the history of the Ford Thunderbird. What's your favorite generation of this iconic car? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into automotive history. Until next time, drive safe and stay curious.